I call the Planning Commission meeting for November 9th, 2023 to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jackie, will you call the roll?
Mr. Varga,
Here.
Mr. Crocker,
Here.
Mr. Haddon,
Here.
Mr. Perkovich,
Here.
Ms. Small. Here. Mr. Tiedemann.
Here.
Mr. Cook.
Here. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting, October 19th, 2023.
So moved?
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Varga,
Yes.
Mr. Crocker,
Abstain.
Mr. Haddon,
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich,
Abstain.
Ms. Small. Yes. Mr. Tiedemann.
Yes.
Mr. Cook.
Yes. On tonight's agenda, we have one public hearing, and we will follow this format. First, the applicant will have the opportunity to explain what they would like to do at a particular location. Second, anyone wishing to speak in favor of this proposal will be given the opportunity. Finally, anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be afforded the time to do so, or some people may just have questions, and we'll try to get those answers. And with that in mind, we have a conditional use permit to allow a recreational facility at 8001 Moving Way. Is that applicant here? Please come up, give us your name and address, tell us a little bit about what you want to do.
My address?
Sure.
My address is 85 Mount Vernon Court in Concord, Mentor. But
And your name?
Ben Beasley. We would like to build an indoor pickleball facility, strictly indoor. We'd like to offer a first-class indoor pickleball facility with the appropriate court surface and runoff area for recreational play and competitive play. And we can get 8 courts in that with very spaciously. And we'd like to offer a small pro shop with selling paddles and T-shirts and that kind of thing, along with maybe some refreshments, coffee, possibly beer down the road or something. Yeah, we want to make it a country club type of atmosphere inside where the pickleball community can come in the wintertime and in the summertime, no matter what the weather is outside. So that's what we want to do there.
Okay, thank you. Anybody here wishing to speak in favor of this proposal? Anyone wishing to speak against this proposal? This public hearing is closed. Kathy, anything from the administration?
Mr. Chairman, in the staff report that we provided, we did note some concerns with regard to parking. We've outlined that in both the parking and loading section as well as the analysis. And I was hoping that maybe the applicant could speak to the parking, and if the property owners here could also speak to some of the concerns that we noted in the staff report with regard to the existing vehicles that are on site and how to accommodate 2 recreational facilities as well as a warehousing facility for Moving Solutions.
Yeah, on the parking issue, as far as from our standpoint, the most people will ever have there at a time is maybe 35 to 36 employees and people playing on 8 courts, 4 people per court. And we will be using a court reserve software that would even allow us to stagger the overlap times when people are coming and going, that would reduce traffic as well. And the building owner can address any other issues you might have.
Okay.
Did you want to?
Give us your name and address, please.
Ray Snyder. You want my personal address or the business address?
Either one.
8001 Moving Way, Mentor, Ohio.
Ed and Santa, 8001 Moving Way.
I'm good.
I think as far as the parking goes, I did that. I know it says Moving Solutions needs 90 parking spots. I have 23 employees. I have no problem sharing our lot for that part. I know I thought we addressed the concerns with Rock City as far as their spots. They're not looking for anything additional. As far as the 30-some spots that he needs, I don't see a problem with us allowing those spots at all. 24/7, 365 for that part. I mean, I think it shows we have the ample parking for that. I'm just not sure where the 300 and some parking spots come with.
Ms. Catanzariti?
So, yeah, the breakdown, per the parking requirements, does indicate there's 2 recreational facilities. The minimum requirements for the 2 recreational facilities would be about 230 spaces, plus the warehousing facility, which would be a minimum of 48. Of course, the Planning Commission has the discretion to reduce that. We had some concerns when Rock City came forward. Based on our site visit, and you see here on the staff exhibit, there are spaces that are provided. The 25, 26 spaces that are at the front of the site are really, in our minds, for moving solutions. It wouldn't be practical for somebody that's at the back of the building to utilize. There's also the issue of the parking spaces that are on the left side of the screen there that have been, I believe, stored, off-site storage for a car dealership, which we've noted some concerns with that. We hadn't addressed that in prior. Again, we were dealing with, when Rock City came forward with 1 recreation facility, now we have 2. So there'll be, I guess, certainly some need for parking, more so than what was, that existed previously. If those spaces up front were freed up, that would help considerably. And they've also spoken about potential future spaces where Kayla's circling. That would need to be improved. It's currently gravel, and we would need to see a parking plan for that. If those spaces were accounted for and the storage space that's on the left side for the off-site storage, if those were completely available, I think the administration would be much more comfortable. We don't have a permit for those spaces. Actually, any kind of off-site storage of car dealership vehicles would have to have a conditional use permit, and we don't have that right now. So there's just a few things that we need addressed. And I think to be comfortable, obviously, there's future land bank spaces to the very north, which there's been no indication of those being put in or improved. But again, I think with the 2 recreational facilities, I think you need to account for some more parking to be comfortable.
Thank you. Can you speak about the Mentor Nissan spots?
Yeah. So, Mentor Nissan, we do business with. We trade business basically. I've done moves for them. I've moved the general manager, who's given us tons of work based off of that. There's 5 cars parked out there right now, and they are basically, they're not for sale. He says, I need a place to pick up cars where I can get a car hauler in. And we said, come use our lot. We're not using it. I don't have 90 employees. I have 23 employees. I can take, all the space that I need is right next to my building from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. That lot is basically empty. There's whatever that is, 50 parking spots or whatever. You know, there seems to be a lot of parking there. You know, and again, everybody has seen it. Anybody that's come through there has seen that Rock City is kids, and they're drop and go. They're drop and go. It's more of a it's like a exit ramp almost. You know, and they're turning around and they're leaving. There's no seating in Rock City for people. You know, they need their trainers. There's a dozen cars there. You know, this is another 30-some cars. My 23 Monday through Friday. This doesn't seem like a lot. Does it?
Okay. So how long do you store the Nissan cars there?
They come and go. They bring a couple over. Like I said, I went out there today. There's 5 cars out there. 5 used cars that are tagged to leave.
Yeah, I think what happened from that standpoint when Mentor Nissan reached out to us, I think, and I I can only speak on what I was told, that they were having some issues, I think, with car carriers coming in, causing problems with the traffic. So somebody reached out to us, and like Ray said, we had a relationship with the GM there, and we said, sure, we can help. You know, I mean, it seemed to benefit everybody, and as we continue to trade business, I think it's a good thing. It keeps the traffic off down by where Menor Nissan is, problems down there. I mean, we're a private lot that, you know, the car haulers can come in. They're not bothering anybody on the street. So it's really basically that. And like Ray said, there's 5 cars, and if it becomes that much of an issue, and we need to stop to allow them in, then, you know, I feel we'll do the right things. I mean, we were here last time. You know, as I said, we're new owners. We're looking to do the right things. I've done the right things. We complied with everything on the last thing with Rock City. I thought in less than 30 days, we did everything that's been asked. We've kept up with everything. You know, we're looking 2 years into this. I'm looking for some consideration. You know, bought a business. Interest rates have gone through the roof. Taxes went up. I didn't, you know, long story short, I was offered a chance to basically make a side deal with the city because my property, or with the schools, for my property taxes to go up, and I didn't cut the city out. I could have saved money doing that, making a side deal with the schools. It wasn't the right thing to do, and we're just trying to do the right things. I'm trying to sustain a business here that, you know, we're hitting a little bit of a rough time. We have a potential person that wants the space, and we feel we'll open up our parking spots if we have to, on whenever they need them, and we're not there. We're more than happy to share that. You know, maybe it doesn't seem feasible for people to walk that distance. I myself have been to, you know, Lost Nation and Sports Park, and you have to park far away sometimes to get in. And if, you know, that's something they're willing to do, if the lot becomes that much of an issue and use those spots, I'm willing to let them have those spots. I mean, we're trying to do whatever we can to make this like the consideration to see what we can do, you know, to make that. And if it needs a better plan to park cars in between the buildings, I'll get to that part. But I would like to use the existing parking spots we have right now.
Thank you. Kathy, ultimately would still need a conditional use permit for the cars, right?
For any cars that are used for the Nissan dealership, it would require a conditional use permit.
Which would be, could you explain that process to them a little bit?
Well, so we have a section of the code, it talks about specifically vehicle sales, which is under section 1161. And I have the section referenced, 116103, traditional retail sales. I'm sorry, 116105, vehicle sales. And under that section, it talks about if off-site storage of used and or previously titled vehicles from a dealership operating within the city is proposed, they can do so with a conditional use permit. So it was put in place a little, I think it was in 2012 or 10. And again, the purpose of that was because there were some dealerships in the city that needed some additional storage, and they wanted to be able to maximize some of the space on some industrial sites, which is fine, as long as it's a dealership within the city. But the way the code's written, it says used vehicles and or previously titled vehicles. So that would be the other kicker under the CUP. So that would need to be applied for and then reviewed by you guys. So
Where's Menor Nissan today? I mean, honestly, I mean, because again, if I'm doing business with them, they're storing stuff here. I talked to the general manager today, and he has no knowledge of this at any point. You know, so I don't know. It's.
I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, they didn't discover the cars, so they did a site visit, right?
Right.
Anything from the administration, or council, or commission members? Anything?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to
Tiedemann.
confirm something that Kathy was talking about. The staff report says we're short 156 spaces. Is that,
If you follow the exact parameters of the parking space requirements, but that code section also says if you are comfortable with a reduced amount and an evidence is provided that makes you comfortable with a reduced amount, you can accept a lower amount.
okay, thanks.
Mr. Chairman? That really should also be based on some substantial evidence as opposed to opinion or anything of that nature. So I think, generally what the commission would be looking for is, data, basically. What is the current parking requirements for the existing facility? What are the current parking requirements for the existing moving solutions? How might that change? Obviously, what you're looking to avoid are persons using non-improved surfaces as parking because there isn't sufficient parking. That is, clearly contrary to the express purpose and intents of the code. So if you're getting what you feel is not adequate real-world information or data, then by all means, it's certainly within your purview to request some further information and table the matter pending receiving that. It might be that some of these land bank spaces would have to be installed. It might be that they don't have to be installed. But again, you don't have to certainly proceed without some concrete information in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Crocker?
a question for the applicant. Would you be willing to improve the area between the two buildings, the potential future spaces area? Is that something that you're willing to move forward on in order to make this happen?
I would like to use the existing spots, but yes, I mean, we're willing, I mean, I believe with a lot that we're talking about with Nissan or whatever, and if we have to apply for a permit for them to take the cars out, I would do that. I would like to avoid right out of the get-go improving those 20-some spots or whatever that are marked and use 50-some spots.
Okay, so you would not be willing to improve that surface right now. That's something you want to kick the can down the road. I think, at least for me, I can't speak for the whole commission, but for me, I think if you improved that area right there and had those 20 spots right next to the pickleball area, that would go a long way to saying that, hey, make sure that we do have enough parking spots.
I'm willing to do that improvement with a decent amount of window for say, I mean, right out of the gate. I mean, if and when we come to terms, it could be the middle of winter and it might not be adequate at that point in time to do that. But yes, I mean, longer for sure.
A reasonable amount of time.
Yes.
Understood. Okay.
Mr. Chairman? Another question for the applicant. You had talked about potentially in the future thinking about beer and wine and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean.
You called it a potentially country club. So that means people might be hanging around a little while, and they're going to be watching games so that's going to add to the number of cars sitting in the parking lot.
Yeah, I don't really see too much of that.
You got to get into the mic here, yeah.
Sorry. I don't really see too much of that, like even at the Menor courts and Heisley, the new Menor Civic Arena courts. People tend to play. I mean, if they want to grab a Gatorade or water on their way out or in, or a cup of coffee or something, but I don't really foresee a lot of that.
Well, I was referring to the beer and wine you mentioned. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to just chug a lug, right? So you're going to sit there for a little bit
Well, they
and have your
could
wine.
sit and watch a game, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so-
that's a possibility.
Okay. And then I think when we did Rock City, we talked about, we had a stipulation, no tournaments, right? Would you have pickleball tournaments? I know, is that a thing? I'm not familiar.
We could, but if you don't want us to, we don't have to.
Okay, because again, to me, in my mind, that adds to the number of people showing up.
Or if we were to have it, we could schedule it with Rock City when they aren't using the parking lot at all, if that was amicable with you guys.
Okay, thanks. Just, it's something to
Yeah,
keep
we
in mind.
want to accommodate you however we can to help make this happen. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. I guess this is just I don't know if it's for the administration or if it's just a theory, but so we've got a minimum of 113 spaces for the proposed pickleball, and it also says a minimum of 120 for Rock City. Now, we just heard earlier on that Rock City is more or less drop-offs, mostly kids, pickups. So I'm sure there's some sort of real-world data out there that this has been there that they could get to say, hey, at any one given time, there's only 8 spots used or so, even though it says, we need 120. So if that data was there, that would go a long way to say, hey, we might have the required parking.
Thank you.
I have a question. How does that number get determined? How does Rock City need 113 and pickleball would need 120?
Ms. Cantanzariti?
So under our off-street parking requirements in the code, recreational facilities require a minimum of 5 spaces per 1,000 square feet. So that's the formula that was put into the code.
There's a recreational facility right down the street from us. I drove by there today and I think they got 40 parking spots. And on the weekends, they're parked all over the grass and all over, everywhere they can park.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, just by way of background, the parking ratios are based on third-party research. It's not something that was just pulled out of thin air, but it is, parking ratios are studied for specific uses, and that's where that code was derived from. It was not something that, certainly not arbitrary on the city's part. Now, because some businesses just have a slightly different business model than others, obviously that's where the Planning Commission was afforded some code authority to vary from those requirements so that it could take a look at a specific business's operational requirements and say, here's the data that we're relying on, and saying, you're right, you don't need as much parking as the code requires, or based on your business operations, in fact, you need a lot more. So that's where the discretion of the Planning Commission can get applied. But again, it's certainly well within accepted industry practice and the planning profession where those ratios came from.
Does that answer your question?
In long form, sure.
If Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
If
Mr.
I may,
Crocker.
I believe you're talking about East Side Volleyball.
I am.
Okay, so my daughter used to go to East Side Volleyball. They have ample parking. It's behind the building. Nobody wants to walk that far, so everyone parks up front. Now, that is something, but the parking is there. And that would speak to one of the problems that we had talked about, that the administration talked about. There's, if you count the 26 spaces that are further away, ample parking, but maybe people aren't going to use them. Maybe they're going to park all over the grass for you because they don't want to walk that far.
But you said they're not allowed to do that.
They're not allowed to do that. They're not, and that's
okay,
and that's
but-
an ongoing problem that will be addressed. But
Yeah.
that's what we are trying to make sure that
Right.
that
No, and
doesn't
we
happen in the
appreciate,
future.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate this.
I
I
think,
just,
I think that's why we're here, because we want to do the right things. We don't-
Absolutely.
we don't want to do anything like that. I don't want, I don't want to go and across the street and make a side deal or something like that. We want to do it on the up and up, because I don't want to be up here again facing you going, well, you guys lied or you didn't do it. And that's why I said, when, everything that's come forward before, in the right way. So, we're not looking to do that. We just want to do the right thing.
Right, I concur with Mr. Crocker. My daughter was also in volleyball. And not only there was it a headache, but all these other communities that we would go to. It was miserable to find parking. So I think that's why I feel your pain, Mr. Crocker. I know the feeling.
My daughter also plays it, too, so I get it. So
Right.
that's why we're here. I mean, so and once again, we just want to do the right thing. So I just want some consideration. If we could move forward, if it comes to that decision, just given the proper amount of time, because once again, I don't want to stand up here and make promises and say, hey, if in the next 60 or 90 days we come to an agreement, and you're going, well, where's the paved parking and this, that. That's why I would like to use the existing parking that we can, if we can make a deal work. And then, like when we were up here last time, as long as the weather is there for us to pave or do it, we just have an ample amount of time to do that and do the right thing.
Mr. Chairman,
Mrs. Small.
did we receive any TIS from the applicant?
please clarify.
Traffic impact study. Sorry.
No.
It might be worthwhile to get a traffic impact study. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but it would tell you how many cars are anticipated moving throughout the property on any given day based on historical data from similar uses. They're typically not that expensive. And they use data from similar, pickleball courts or pickleball facilities with 8 courts. They'll be able to give you a better number. So then we can use the data to then see if the parking is ample or not.
Is there anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Are we thinking of tabling this?
Mr. Chairman, would you be open to us tabling this and maybe getting a little more information about how many cars were actually going to be there?
We're open for anything.
Okay, and I think, at least for me, I'd be comfortable with that. I'd be comfortable with saying, tabling this, looking at not just, hey, we think this is how many cars are going to be there, but maybe some type of hard data that says, a traffic study or something like that says this is what is shown to be there, and then that would make us a little more comfortable to say, okay, we can reduce the numbers based on that, not just based on, this is what I think is what we need.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
And resolve, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Varga.
And resolve the Nissan status as, so that you have a conditional use permit or you don't, and you don't have them parked there anymore by the next meeting.
So, what do we need to do?
Yeah, for a conditional.
Yeah, I don't know how to get a conditional,
Well, it's-
I know how to move people.
So it's basically what they did here. I mean,
Okay.
this was a conditional use permit to come before the board, so a conditional use permit would need to be filed for use of that space.
How do we get one?
You need to file an application with our department, so.
Got it.
And just to be clear, this is just for them to come get cars. We're not selling them, I'm not, yeah, just
No,
all
you
that.
wouldn't
Yeah, I
understand.
just
Oh, we
want-
understand.
Yeah, no, I just want to make it clear that, yeah, that's all that, and that's all we would use it for.
The point of getting it is that it would clarify the whole parking situation, because you would enumerate what you were using for Nissan, how many spaces, how often. It would also then clarify the rest of the available parking to be, distributed for the other uses on the site. So it would, so you've made a motion to table?
Yes. Motion to table.
Okay, and I'll second that motion.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Varga,
Yes.
Mr. Crocker,
Yes.
Mr. Haddon,
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich.
Yes.
Ms. Small.
Yes.
Mr. Tiedemann.
Yes.
Mr. Cook.
Yes. And hopefully this will open up a little line of communication between you and the department, and you guys can work things out a little bit.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Items number 2 and 3 are to remain on the table. And I need a motion to remove number 4, architectural review of an automobile repair shop at 7515 Tyler Boulevard.
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Varga,
Yes.
Mr. Crocker,
Yes.
Mr. Haddon,
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich.
Yes.
Ms. Small.
Yes.
Mr. Tiedemann.
Yes.
Mr. Cook.
Yes. Is that applicant here? Please come on up. Give us your name and address and tell us a little bit about the building again.
Yep, I'm back again. So, Nick Four, 9461 Kenwood Road. Here for the project at 7515 Tyler Boulevard. The elevations provided up on the screen are the ones that we are moving forward with. We got into the details. We were really trying to make the ground-mounted HVAC units work and try to come up with a design for the ducts. Really just couldn't figure it out. The ducts going in under the fence line, taking up the storage space of the building for the technicians' tools. Couldn't go that route, and then as far as properly screening them, it was going to become a maintenance issue. So, all that said, we've decided to put the rooftop units back on top of the roof and properly screen them.
Yeah.
Just as a refresher for everybody, front of the building office is our EFIS, part stone, both the east and west elevation, knee-high stone running the length of the building, and then the architectural panel, the structure rock, that we did provide a sample to the city. So they've seen that. In the rear of the building would be the metal panel. And then as far as the screen material, that would also be structure rock to match the side of the building. That covers everything. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
I think we're all interested in the structure rock.
Stucco textured metal panel.
I like to leave that metal part out.
Wait a minute.
Give
It
a-
is metal.
Looks nice though.
Kathy, anything from the administration?
We took a look at it. We also shared the panel with the departments, and it certainly looks like a high-quality panel. Obviously, the texturing would probably be more expensive, I would assume, but it looks nice, so.
Looks like stucco.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned it last time, but I think as far as maintenance wise, that is a lot more durable. And we just had a new store open in Oklahoma that got a hole in the stucco. Nobody knows how the hole got there. I mean, the only thing we can think of it was from the lawnmower. So I don't think something like this, we haven't had the same issues. I think it's much more durable. Looks very similar.
Anything from the commission members?
The elevations that we got in the packet now, these are the ones, so this shows two more, for lack of a different term, dog houses on the roof where the mechanical equipment are in, right? But
Yeah, so they're,
can we see the other elevations too, to see how those?
The first ones, the ones that were in the
No,
packet?
no, I mean, she's showing us two of the four
Oh, I'm
elevations.
sorry.
There,
Yeah.
that's what let's just see what's showing up. Okay, all right. So you're gonna use the same panel on the enclosures for the mechanical equipment too?
that's correct. Yep.
Is there anything else?
Just to clarify, on the north elevation, that's just straight metal panel. Correct?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
okay.
left it as that since it wasn't visible from the.
Which we were fine with. I just wanted, so that everybody knows it's straight metal on them.
And the fact that the metal panel comes down on a masonry band
Yeah.
will make the panel much more durable over time because you don't have all the snow and the lawnmowers and stuff hitting it. Yeah, so that's good.
Then on the east elevation, just that is the structure rock all the way down. Portion of the rear building, but the structure rock runs all the way to the back.
Is there anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with the 5 conditions.
Second?
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Ms. Small? Yes. Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Kathy, anything?
Nothing else.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.